Hi everybody, this is a red and blue Mindsplice Apparatus deck that wants to cast lots of spells, have Urabrask in play, and then use Alchemist's Gambit to take a whole bunch of turns and finish the game off through a combination of activations of Urabrask and by using Light Up the Night over here. So this is loosely based on a historic and explorer Mindsplice Apparatus deck that I've been messing around with, and as soon as I saw Urabrask and Chandra over here in the new set, I knew I kind of wanted to try out Mindsplice Apparatus and see if we can't do something a little wonky with it. So Urabrask fits into that quite nicely. Normally he's not too great, but in a deck where you can cast a lot of spells in a row, he turns out pretty well. So the way he works is if you can cast 3 spells on your turn, you can flip him over for 1 red mana. He does 3 damage to your opponent and everything they have. And then you step through the modes, you get some treasure tokens, and then you get to cast everything out of every graveyard if it's an instant and a sorcery. So he's kind of a sneaky way to finish off a game in combination with some of these other cards. So let me show you what we got going on here. We've got Experimental Augury is one of our proliferate cards. This is great for finding the apparatus or finding the missing thing that we need. And we also have a few copies of Volt Charge as well. This can do some extra damage to the face, and it's also a proliferate spell. We're also running Thrummingbird in that we can get it down early. Sometimes the opponent leaves it alone when they see we're not a poison deck and that we're not doing too much else. But if the opponent does leave it alive, it's another free way to get more counters on our Mindsplice Apparatus or on our Chandra. Now, we're looking to play the apparatus on turn 4, get a counter on it on our next available turn, add counters until we can get to around 3 or 4 or so, and then we can start big scoring, searching through our deck with things like Impulse, until we can get to the point where we're comfortable and we cast Alchemist's Gambit. Now, sometimes this can be done for just 1 free turn. You can pay the cleave cost at a reduced rate so that it ends up just being 2 blue and a red, and we get to take an extra turn without that pesky drawback. Or if we've got any copies of Chandra in play, we then get to take 2 extra turns in a row. So this can quickly add up if we can get a Chandra out on the battlefield on one of those extra turns, and she can even use her mana to kind of help us along and pay for all these things we want to do. Now, it's kind of hard to explain like the other Mindsplice Apparatus decks, but it has resulted in some of the weirdest games I've played on this platform in a long time, and I thought you might want to see them. So let's get over and see some games with this deck on the ranked standard ladder. I'll be with you for commentary, of course, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. All right, we got Mindsplice. Let's get into it here. We're going to see if we can't Mindsplice our way into some kind of win condition. See if we can even make this work at all. It's great fun in Historic, in Explorer. Love playing that deck over there, but you get access to more repeat effects. So you can essentially play 8 big score effects over there. All right, opponent's starting off with a Scrap Gorger. I think we can let that live for now. I kind of want to keep our 1 proliferate spell in Volt Charge until after we get Mindsplice down. Okay, they would have been able to play the heavy anyway, so I don't feel too bad about that. We're going to thirst for discovery here. Discard an island. We pick up Urabrask and some extra lands. Let's lay down our island, get up to 4 mana. Option to big score if we want to, but I think I'm going to try to get a Mindsplice down as soon as possible. Ouch. Second shakedown heavy. We're going to need to deal with this Scrap Gorger too. Well, let's just take this attack from the heavy. So we'll take 6. But the good news is we're kind of in control over how much damage we take. The bad news is our opponent's going to draw a bunch of cards. So let's see what we can do with Mindsplice. All right, we pick up Experimental Augury, which is fantastic. We'll take Thrummingbird and put another counter on our Mindsplice, so that's 2. Now let's Volt Charge the Scrap Gorger. That gets us up to 3 counters. Great. Now big score actually nets us mana in the treasures it provides. So let's do that. We're going to discard the let's discard this island. Might need some more red sources. There's another big score. We'll play Shivan Reef for the turn and big score again. Discarding island this time. We got Into the Fire and Chandra. We've got 5 mana left. Let's get a Thrummingbird going. And I think we're going to pass it on back. So we can still control the attacks from these heavies. We're not really in danger of them hitting us. Ooh. Kogla. Kogla and Yadaro. Going to take care of our Mindsplice Apparatus, and then the opponent's going to try to get in with these heavies. We're going to give them some cards and draw. Well, we've got Chandra, and that's nothing to sneeze at. Let's go ahead and play her. I'm going to plus and make some mana here. That means we can play Urabrask, not use so many of our treasures. And we can still attack with the Thrummingbird and put an extra counter on Chandra here. And again, we can still control where these heavies attack and what they hit. So Chandra pretty safe on this board. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. Green Sun's Twilight finds a Kogla and Yadaro. It looks like just a land. So that's going to fight Urabrask. So Urabrask is down. Okay, but it doesn't have haste, though, so it's still just the heavies we got to worry about. Give the opponent a few more cards. Which hurts, but our Chandra's alive for the moment. Great. Oh, okay. And we draw replacement Urabrask. Well, our stuff is expensive again. Tell you what, let's use Chandra's ability. Select a value for X. Yes, that's fine. We're going to target Kogla and one of the heavies. Hopefully they can't save them. Good. All right. So we're left with just one heavy to worry about on the board now. And then, because we've got this extra Chandra, let's get that down. We'll keep it, and then we can do the same thing just for a little bit less. Hit our opponent and this last remaining heavy. All right, so the creatures are down. We'll attack with the Thrummingbird. Get a free counter on Chandra. And we've got Urabrask for next turn, maybe even Into the Fire if we draw too many extra lands. Ooh, new Vorinclex here. That's going to find our opponent some lands. He is kind of pricey to flip over, though, so luckily we do have a little time. And then fight rigging. Well, we might have less time now. Vorinclex a 6/6 here, so they can immediately put a counter on him. Oh, okay, good. Just a Scrap Gorger under fight rigging. That was the free spell. All right, well, let's play our island. We've got Chandra here. Let's see what she can find off the top for us. We get to see the top 5. Ooh, and we get a Gambit. Well, does this work how I think it does? Yep. Okay, so we are on the board for 2 extra turns. Oh, no. Sorry, Vorinclex has reach. I did not realize that. All right. Well, how can we make this work? All right, well, we've got Urabrask. Let's get Urabrask down. If we copy an Into the Fire, how's that going to work? I don't know. Let's make mana with Chandra. That might give us some more options to play what we draw with this. Okay, so Urabrask goes off. We get a free mana. Copies Into the Fire with Chandra. We're going to discard 1 and draw 2. There's another Gambit. And let's put back this Impulse. We get another Gambit. All right. I think we can still Thirst here. It's another trigger for Urabrask. Discard this land and a Thrummingbird. Can't really wait around for Thrummingbird so much. We draw a big score for our turn. Okay, so does that mean we have another turn after this? I've lost track. Anyway, let's add some mana with Chandra. Should really say what these icons mean. Let's do Into the Fire. We'll do another kind of redraw effect here. We'll get the copies, and we can put back one of these Gambits. And let's put back a mountain. All right, so we get a couple of proliferate effects. Let's Augury then, since we get to see a lot of things. It's still kind of cheap. All right, well, we'll take another Augury. Put a counter on Chandra from proliferate. And I think we're going to Volt Charge Scrap Gorger. Put some more, one more counter on Chandra there. Good, good, good. Okay. Well, I think no sense in attacking. Yeah, let's flip Urabrask then, since we've met our threshold of 3 spells. It's going to deal 3 to our opponent. And we'll just go to our extra... Oh, no. No, that's... Okay, that's on me. Lost track of how many turns I was taking. Yeah, otherwise I totally would have played this extra Gambit that we had. So opponent flips Vorinclex into the Grand Evolution, gets a Zeatora, and gets this Archfiend going here. Sacrifice the Archfiend. Beans Chandra for 7, gives them 3 treasure tokens. Our opponent's low, and that was not a very good flip of Vorinclex. We might be okay. Let's do... Oh, and if we Augury, if we proliferate... Alright, I think this will work. So let's Augury. We'll take a Mindsplice. We'll submit 2. So that adds a counter to the Great Work, and we get chapter 2 of that. So some treasures. Let's see. We can take Twilight or Augury. Let's take Augury. And we'll deselect the Great Work, because I don't want that effect to happen now. I want it when we have all of our mana. Alright, I don't think we got to worry about Vorinclex anytime soon. Let's flash in the Mindsplice. We can get kind of a compounding effect on it when we take our turn here. Alright, Mindsplice comes down. We get a counter on it. 1 mana discount on all of our stuff. And then the Great Work means we can cast instants and sorceries from any graveyard this turn. Opponent looks like they got some kind of response. You would. I'm going to try to Boseiju our Mindsplice. Well, tell you what. While we get the discount, let's go ahead and do some spells. So we get a free copy of Experimental Augury thanks to Chandra. Let's put a counter on her and the Mindsplice. We'll take a replacement Mindsplice Apparatus, and same configuration for the counters. And then Boseiju on the stack, we're going to big score for 1 mana, that is. Always a good deal. We draw Light Up the Night. Yeah. And then let's big score again. We'll discard Thrummingbird. We just draw 2 lands there, but we've got 4 treasures out of the transaction. All right, and we get to go find a land. Sure, we'll pick this basic island. All right, now the Great Work flips. Oh my goodness. I guess Green Sun's Twilight, the only thing for our opponent, but we've got Light Up the Night. And yeah, I think we've got plenty of mana to do this. So let's make sure we get the right number here. Do a little more just in case. And yeah, old Urabrask has to get in there too. Put me in, coach. Opponent going to go for the throat. Last vengeance on Urabrask. They take 1, go to 5, and then 8 from Light Up the Night. Good game. All right, I think we got a mulligan that hand. Don't trust a 2-lander too often. And let's put back Thrummingbird. Opponent leads off with a swamp. We'll lead off with an island ourselves. We might just toss out Thrummingbird here. Well, if they've got removal, we could maybe wait a turn. Nah, let's go for it. If they've got removal, they've got removal. That is fine. We just picked up Mindsplice anyway, so hopefully we can sneak that in there. Opponent does have the removal, hits us with a Sheoldred's Edict, so we got to sacrifice the old Thrummingbird. Alright, we draw land. We're up to 3 mana here. We could Into the Fire, but I think let's just pass. Oh, opponent's going to Demolition Field our Shivan Reef. Yeah, go for it. We'll take that action. Plenty of basic lands, if I can find the right one there. Grab a mountain. All set for colors now. Opponent grabs an island. Could have been doing that just to fix their own mana too, you never know. Alright, we'll drop another mountain. We're up to 4. So the plan now is to try to sneak in. Well, I mean, yeah, let's sneak in Mindsplice now during this Memory Deluge while our opponent's tapped out. Paused for a second there. I don't think they can remove artifacts in those colors pretty easily. They might be able to bounce this back to our hand, but I'd rather sneak it in and not have to worry about counters. Opponent goes with a Sorin. They're going to draw a land. And we get a first counter on Mindsplice. Alright. Play a land. We're up to 5. Let's see if we can't get Urabrask going. Maybe pressure Sorin a little bit. Maybe act as another refund engine for some of our spells.
My ways are not for the weak.
Opponent doing fine on their land drops. Hate to see that when you're playing against a control deck. They're going to hit Urabrask with a March. Gain a little bit of life. Well, we've got 2 counters on Mindsplice right now, but the bad news is we've only got 1 spell. The opponent's tapped out, so let's go Chandra. We'll add some mana so we can do what we want. Let's do red and blue. If we draw into something fun, we can do that. And we'll Into the Fire, get a free copy. So it happens on resolution that we get to put our cards back. So we'll do that first and draw 2, and then we draw 2 lands. So let's get those out of the way. Order doesn't matter. We draw 3. And we've got mana left. We can Thirst now. And we'll discard a basic land. Could have held on to that Thirst and tried to copy it, but we had no mana left aside from the stuff that Chandra made. Opponent draws with Sorin. And picks up a Mindsplice of their own. Battle of the Mindsplice Apparatus. Opponent decides to go ahead and main phase that out as our Mindsplice ticks up to 3. So they could be going the X-Spell route, where you've kind of got no ceiling, but just the standard discount of like 3 or 4 on all your spells is really solid, and I've found that's kind of the one I prefer, and I guess that's the one that wins out. All right, good game. This looks acceptable. We'll take 3 lands here in our opener. Don't quite need the Gambit yet, but it's nice as kind of a little insurance policy. And of course, Chandra not going to come down till much later. So we'll see if we need to use this Volt Surge ahead of schedule or if we can't save it for putting counters on our Mindsplice. Opponent with a second Plains and nothing to do. All right, we'll just lay land number 3 and pass it on back. They've used a Capenna fetch land. And now they're Restoration of a Ganjoing, so they're going to go looking for Plains. Nothing like guaranteeing your land drops. Well, we hit land drop number 4. We're going to pass it back. Wait on our opponent here. See if we can't Mindsplice at the end of their turn. They decide to bring back Broker's Hideout with the restoration. Digs out another plains. And follows up with a wedding announcement. Alright, well, end of their turn. Let's flash out this apparatus. And we're starting off with one counter. Yeah, I think color-wise, red probably makes sense, and we can just pass it on back here. Restoration's going to flip over. These Volt Surges are instant, and we can kind of maybe surprise our opponent with going off a little bit. They're going to attack with one of the tokens, bring us to 19. Wedding Announcement, giving them another token. Well, let's just keep putting them on the slow way. All right. We're up to 6 mana now. And we do have a little bit of a discount from the apparatus. Opponent flashes in a Wandering Emperor, though.
Anyone who harms my people must
See what they decide to do. They're going to make a Samurai. Definitely building up the tokeny board over there. So I'm thinking if we can get Chandra... Oh... Anointed Peacekeeper gonna tell us which stuff costs more in our hand. They pick Fortify? They were taking some time there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But we had a discount thanks to the apparatus anyway, so I don't think it would have mattered too much what they chose. Let's hit the Wanderer then with this Volt Surge. Announcement flips over and makes their board big. So anyway, what I was saying is, I think now with the discount and Chandra, we've got enough to get her down. And if she survives, we might be able to make mana and then cast our Time Walk Alchemist's Gambit and get a copy of it. So let's do red and blue. And then Gambit for the cleave cost. And then Chandra copies it. All right, so we get 2 turns in a row. All right, so I guess if you see the wave icon, you've got an extra turn coming. Maybe? I don't know. I've messed this up before. All right, let's Thirst then. Chandra's going to copy Thirst.
Here's a spark of hope.
We'll draw 3, discard Mountain. Draw 3 again. Discard another mountain. Let's play our land for turn. Let's go Experimental Augury. That's going to put some counters on everybody, no matter what we find. Well, might as well take another one. Yes, please. Counters on everyone. Augury one more time. Light up the night. That can be a win condition. Big score for a nice discount. We'll discard an Into the Fire. We get Into the Fire in a land. All right, well, let's Into the Fire some more. We'll do the card draw mode. Opponent with a Fateful Absence. That's going to put a bit of the brakes on our plans here. All right, well, let's get rid of these cards then. Actually, maybe keep Surge. We'll put 2 back and we'll draw 3. There's a Gambit, but Chandra's gone now. Though an extra turn's an extra turn. All right, so we should have one more turn after this. So I'm going to draw with this clue. We get Urabrask. And I think we'll end it there. All right, so this is our last extra turn from our current crop of turns. The wave icon is now gone, so that means we have no more extra turns. Let's get Urabrask down. Let's see, can we do this if we go Gambit and Volt Charge, or Volt Surge? Yeah, let's so we get mana back as a refund. Let's do Gambit, Gambit, Volt Charge, refund from Urabrask. Brings them to 16. We'll put a counter on Mindsplice. Let's flip over Urabrask. Yes. All right. It's going to wipe a few tokens away, bring our opponent to 13. Another counter on Mindsplice. We draw another Gambit. And we have an extra turn after this one yet. Though, no, I think we got enough for just a straight light up the night. I mean, we've been hitting our opponent for such chip damage that, yeah, burn spell for 13. There we go. Good game. All right. This is one of the weirdest hands I've ever kept, but we're doing it. We got Mindsplice Apparatus, 2 Alchemist Gambit. Opponent's starting off with a green and white land. Could be facing a green-white enchantments opponent. Could be green-white toxic version. Little Skrelv action. Nope, nothing yet from the opponent. We're going to lay land number 3. Option to thirst for discovery here. Opponent with Inspiring Overseer. Okay. Well, let's thirst. We'll discard Island. We get our 3rd Alchemist's Gambit. We're going to play a land. See if we can't Mindsplice at the end of our opponent's turn here. Opponent's going to attack with the Overseer. Hit us for 2. Okay, I'm just going to go with Annex Sentry to start building up the board a little bit. Well, let's Mindsplice Apparatus in that case. Put a counter on it. Let's go land for turn. And let's see. Well, we have enough mana. If we big score, I think we can wait. Opponent's board's not too big. I think we'll be all right here. So they're going to get in for 3. It's going to give us a poison counter. They'll follow up with Elesh Norn. All right, does that affect us at all? So if a permanent entering the battlefield. So that's not really going to hurt us too much. Let's big score. We get Thrummingbird and another big score. Now let's put a counter on Mindsplice then as we take our turn. Volt Charge here. This, we'll just point that at the opponent's face. Have a feeling we might be taking some extra turns here. Let's big score. Get rid of Thrummingbird. We get 2 copies of Urabrask. Okay. Let's see. If we lay this land down. Got a few things down there we could possibly reuse if we flip him. But we're going to have to get there first. What do we got? Big scores, Volt Charge, Thrummingbird. All right, well, let's get him down anyway. Then I think we can afford to cleave this. So we'll Alchemist's Gambit. Pings our opponent for 1. And oh, that was enough spells, I guess. Nice of him to highlight himself for me. We're going to flip over Urabrask. Do 3 damage to our opponent and all their stuff, and take an extra turn. The Great Work gives us a few treasures. I think let's into the fire here. We're still 1 turn out of being able to recycle all these instants and sorceries. We'll discard Urabrask and pick up 2. Big score's kind of nice. Let's big score away this apparatus. We get land and Thrummingbird. Well, let's play out Thrummingbird because I think we'll have enough left over. Yeah, we should be okay. Play out this land. Alchemist's Gambit. And we'll just pass it there. Right? Yes. Counter on Mindsplice. We just draw a land. Great Work is going to flip over. We get access to these 6 spells we got sitting in our graveyard. Okay. Opponent decides to cash it in there. Good game. All right. Back here again with some, is it Mindsplice Apparatus in Standard? Comboing some folks out, trying to take some extra turns. Opponent on the Abzan train, green, white, and black. Let's put Thrummingbird down, see if we can't get that to survive the early couple of turns of the game as we start looking for Mindsplice Apparatus. Opponent plays a Plaza of Heroes, though. Gonna expect some legends now from them. Gix, that's pretty decent. I mean, I'm not going to be blocking him, so we might as well get in for 1 damage. Proliferate on nothing. Mana up now for Thirst for Discovery. Opponent lays land number 4. What legend do you have to threaten me with now? It's Ratadrabic. Okay. That's not good for us as the opponent gets in with Gix. They're going to draw a card most likely. Yep, taking themselves down to 18. So let's Thirst here at the end of their turn. And we can discard a basic land. We pick up an Into the Fire and another land. So it's a Shivan Reef for us. Yeah, tempted to play Urabrask here. Let's get him down. He's at least a good blocker if they don't have any removal, and sometimes Legends decks don't run too much like actual removal. Well, they've got a double Ratadrabic here. That's going to be interesting. Is this a combo deck I don't know about? So now they've got essentially 2 copies of Ratadrabic on the board. All right, let's Into the Fire here. Triggers Urabrask, gives us a mini refund. We're going to put a few things back on the bottom. Yep, let's get rid of these Thirsts. 1 of our Auguries. So we pick up Volt Charge and a Gambit. All right. I'm just going to pass it there then. Urabrask doing a good job at holding the ground for us now. Oh, Ratadrabic number 3. All right, so they keep the original. The 2 that were here first both trigger, so now there are 4 copies of Ratadrabic on the board to go with Gix. End of their turn, we're going to Augury. There's a Mindsplice for us. Ugh, where were you earlier? We get a Light Up the Night, which is not quite needed yet. We're a little ways off from that. So we've got 6 mana here. I think we pass. Might be time to sneak in this Apparatus. Ooh. Thalia and the Gitrog monster. Alright, so what does that do? Play an additional land. Alright, I don't think that's gonna have too much of an immediate impact, aside from being a meaty body on the board. All right, they're just going to pass it back. That's perfect for us. Let's go ahead and get Mindsplice down. Get a counter on it. All right, anybody have reach? No. Let's attack with Thrummingbird. That'll proliferate again. Brings Volt Charge down to 1 mana. Let's throw that at their face. Urabrask gets in a little damage as well. Nice little refund. And now big score is 1 mana, so we'll discard this island, casting that. Urabrask brings them to 10. All right, let's Augury then. More Urabrask. Chandra or Gambit. I think it might be Chandra this time. Already have 2 copies of Gambit anyway. Alright, so let's Gambit, get that out of the way. Make sure we're taking our extra turn. Opponent's tapped out, so this seems like a good time as any. All right, extra turn on the board. Yeah, let's go ahead and flip Urabrask then. Cause a little chaos on the opponent's side of the board as we bring them to 5, and all of these Ratadrabics are going to trigger. Lots of tokens, but we've got them low enough now that we can just light up the night straight to the face. Didn't even need that extra turn. Good game.